Hey there, welcome to another Two Wheeled Wednesdays. Today I'm in Montague, California, and I'm here for the 5th annual Shasta Gravel Hugger gravel race. Looks like the sky's going to clear up a little bit. Looks like it might be a good day. It's going to be a great day, actually. The event is 3 different gravel distances. It's a mix of gravel and pavement. There's a 100-mile full hug. There's the half hug, which is 100 kilometers, about 66 miles. And since this is my first ever gravel race, I'm not so comfortable with a hug yet, but I'm doing the Handshake ride, which is about 35, 36 miles. I'm not going to have the all my different camera mounts and everything because this is a race. So I've got the helmet mount, and we'll get some shots. Okay, my race starts in about an hour or about 45 minutes from now. So I'm going to do a quick warm-up. It's a little chilly. We had some fresh snow this morning, but it looks like it's clearing up. And I'm going to do a little warm-up and get ready for my race. And we'll see you soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready.
All right, and here we go. As you can see from the banners and the way things are blowing around, we had a pretty strong wind, and luckily it was a tailwind to start off with. As a matter of fact, the National Weather Service had issued a high wind advisory for the Shasta Valley.
This being our 5th annual Shasta.
And the adrenaline was pumping. A little AC/DC at the start didn't hurt. And before you knew it, we were off.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! And they're off! Remember, it's a long way to the top. You want to rock and roll.
And before you knew it, the lead group had already split off from the bunch. I caught up with this group and passed them. It was a group of middle school kids, like a middle school cycling club or something. Pretty cool kids, actually. I worked my way through this group, and then I bridged up to the pair that was in front of us, and they were the chase group, and the 3 of us took turns trying to catch that lead group. We were flying with that tailwind on these flat roads. As we made our first turn, the hug and half hug routes continued south and we turned eastward. It was our first real view of Mount Shasta. And boy, she was looking good with her new blanket of fresh snow. I'm going to break the route up into 4 sections to make it easier to describe. The first was this flat section downwind, and man, we were making good time, still pushing hard, but we still couldn't catch that lead group up in front of us. By the time we hit the second section, I'd used up a ton of energy trying to catch that first group, but I never did. The second section was the first taste of gravel that we saw, and it also had the biggest climb of the day. That group of youngsters, well, in actuality, I think I may have been the oldest out of all the people in the Handshake, so everybody was a youngster. But that group of youngsters, they all passed me, and as soon as we started climbing, I had the whole place to myself. I was paying for spending all that extra energy. And then it started hailing, and then the sun came out while it was still hailing. That and the clouds and the scenery, it was just surreal. It was just gorgeous. So even if I couldn't catch those guys, at least it looked nice. About halfway into the climb, when it started getting a little steeper, the road surface went from that nice packed gravel to dirt. Rugged, soft, rutted dirt. Luckily, it hadn't rained for a couple of days, so it wasn't too muddy, but it was still hard for me to negotiate, and I wasn't the only one.
I was going to do what you were doing up there. That's okay, I'm getting out of your way. You got it.
And did I mention the puddles? They're huge. I made it past this one, barely, but there were a couple others that I had to get off and walk around. I heard some splashing in one of them behind me, and I think someone fell into one of them. But I made it. Once over the top, we were on to the third section, and what goes up must come down. In the second section, the climb, I averaged just 7 miles per hour. But in this one, I hit 41 miles per hour, which was pretty darn exciting in that loose gravel in some of those sections. But with long, straight sight lines, I could just let it fly. This third section was generally downhill. It took us down to the valley floor, although there were a couple short climbs here or there. But the scenery was spectacular. The clouds were dynamic, and the hills, once you got out there, they looked like they were covered in a light green velvet. With the sun shining on them, it was beautiful. And going downhill, I had a chance to actually sit up and look around. With the third section over and getting to the valley floor and pretty much as far away from Montague as possible, the route started looping back towards our start, back towards Montague, and that lovely 25 mile per hour tailwind that we were enjoying started becoming a rather annoying crosswind. At time in some of those gusts, I thought I was going to get blown off my bike sideways. And then when the route started turning even more southward, it was smacking me right in the face. A big shout out to the organizers and volunteers. It was a well-run event. Ben and his crew did a marvelous job.
Thank you.
For the last 5 miles, we turned onto pavement, and by this time the wind had really picked up and it was blowing straight in our face. I didn't have time to make much footage of this because it was pretty much just head down and knees up, but it was the hardest part of the day by far. By the time I reached Montague, I was cooked. A little more gravel and a few more puddles to dodge, and then across the finish line, and done with the Gravel Hugger.
Here we have Chip Weiner of Gold Beach. Welcome back, Chip. He's with Team Two Wheeled Wednesdays.
God, that was grueling. All right. Those last 5 miles were grueling. Oh, that wind out there with nothing to stop it. But could have been a lot worse. All week long they were talking about snow and rain and wind. So at least it was sunny and windy. So I learned a couple things. One is I started off a little too strong. And kind of burned up a lot of energy before the big climb. I should have saved it for the big climb. The second is I need to work on my bike handling skills. I had to get off. I had to stop a couple times because I couldn't maneuver through some of the uphill ruts going really slow. So those are two things that I need to work on. But other than that, I don't know what my time was, but I think I came in, I was shooting for around 3 hours, and I don't know what my time is, but I think it was pretty close to that. But it was a good ride. It was a lot of fun. Well put on, well marked, a heck of a course, and that was it. All right, thanks for joining me for another Two Wheeled Wednesdays. I hope you're enjoying these adventures. I sure am. If you are, consider subscribing. Subscribe if you're so inclined. The next race is the Mudslinger race up in Blodgett, Oregon. It's a mountain bike race. It's a cross-country mountain bike race. I raced in it last year, and it definitely lived up to its name. It was a mudslinger. It was pouring rain the whole time. I guess that's it. Once again, thanks for joining me. And whether you race, whether you just ride for fun, whether you ride in the gravel, the road, the mud, or even indoors on your trainer, remember, life is still twice as good on two wheels. And we'll see you next week.
For the record, I ended up in 22nd place overall out of 41 starters in the Handshake. That was good enough for third place in my age group, the 60 and older group. It was 34.3 miles, and I made it in 3 hours, 1 minute, and 42 seconds.